Wait lang mga kameta, 1 second. Di ko pala na ano to. Ay. 1 second lang mga kameta. What's up? What's up? Ayan na, dyan na pala yung mga kameta. 1 second lang. Ito na. Let's go live! Ayan na. Former duly elected Vice President, first runner-up. Wait lang, kalabas yung ano natin. Baka maano tayo ni Direct Daryl Y. Dun sa mga natin, Chester natin. Hindi ko alam bakit ganito yung mga polo nung dating panahon. Ito, mga kameta, kamusta naman kayo dyan? Ito, habang andito yung makeup natin from yung recording natin kanina. Dun sa studio recording. Habang andyan pa, habang libre pa, hindi pa natin nahugasan. Gamitin natin yan para makahabol tayo sa quota natin, vlog quota natin today. So, kamusta naman kayo dyan mga kameta? Let me just say, first of all, to be honest, kanina talagang medyo overwhelmed tayo doon sa... Wala, hanggang ngayon, windang pa rin kasi grabe guys. Yung painting ni Juan Luna, no? So kanina duman tayo dun sa Ayala Museum. Wow, kudus talaga to Ayala Museum. Kudus talaga dun sa mga nakahanap ng painting niyan after a century and a quarter, no? Nakabalik na sa atin yung at least what perhaps Juan Luna himself saw as the ultimate masterpiece ng kanyang buhay, no? So probably we can have separate whew, separate hindi pa yung mga pictures ko hindi pa na-upload. Andun pala dun sa isa, no? I mean, of course, Polarium, alam natin yun ang consider as the best of the best for Juan Luna. But mukhang personally talaga itong painting na nilalagay ngayon sa Ayala, yan ang talagang favorite niya. No? So we constantly see dun sa mga pictures ni Juan Luna sa kanyang mga studios in Paris, across Paris for that matter, dun niya parati nilalagay. So please, I suggest you guys to check itong Ayala Museum. Medyo mahal yung entrance, pero kung mga guro kayo katulad natin, public university guro or estudyante or senior citizen, makaka-discount naman kayo dyan mga kameta. So, I really suggest you guys to go there and show support dun sa isa sa mga pinaka-henyo sa ating kasaysayan. Ito si Juan Luna. So, of course, we had the pleasure mga kameta to parang sumasabog na itong quotes na. Medyo 10 years ago pa yan eh. Pero pinipilit pa rin natin. No, namin mga kameta, it was one thing to witness the grandeur of Juan Luna's paintings, yung Cleopatra among others, dyan sa Madrid, no, at sa Europa. It's another thing to see what's seen as the pinnacle of his art, or at least his favorite art, no, as the holy grail of Philippine art, no. It was something else to see that here sa ating bansa, no, and not long after doon sa ating National Independence Day. So I'm super moved tayo at I mean if you really feel strongly for our country, if you really love our country, and if you really know how brilliant and impressive that generation was, the Ilustrado generation was, and if you really feel the need to bring back that glory. I mean, we have fantastic sportsmen and sportswomen, si Heidelin, si Manny Pacquiao. Given we have fantastic artists making waves across the world. We have, all these beauty queens. Given yan, mga kameta, and all kudos to them. Thank you for bringing pride to our country. I will also say that ibang klaseng ilustrado because these were at the very cutting edge of arts and sciences and philosophy and really uber intellectual activity. So for me, mga kameta, yun yung aking commitment, yun ang aking passion to bring back that ilustrado glory, and hopefully we can replicate that, a version of that for the 21st century, because we need a Rizal of the 21st century. We need a Juan Luna of the 21st century. We need an Ilustrado 2.0 for the 21st century, because I know that we're capable of that. We have the talent, but we have to dare. And one of the things that I love about our Ilustrado is that hindi sila nagpatalo doon sa racism, sa colonial impression, all sorts of structural disadvantages that Asian or colored man or a man born or a person born in the colonized world would have faced at in the heart of Europe. Like grabe yung audacity nila, no? Audacity nila. So I'm really really proud of what Juan Luna, what Rizal and their generation was able to achieve. And yes, we can talk about Juan Luna's life and medyo mahaba ang usapan yan, but let's be honest. I mean, for Rizal, Juan Luna was a genius. And remember what Rizal said, that the genius knows no country, right? That no country, in a sense that every country has its own genius, colonized, superpower or not, no? And that if the Filipino were given the chance, he could achieve greatness. So Rizal saw more than a spark. He saw the whole, not only spark and sprinkle, whole manifestation of genius in Juan Luna. So please go there, check it on your own. Like wow, like super wow talaga. It's one thing to see the brilliance of Filipino artistic heritage in Europe. Of course, nagmeta pa tayo nung nasa Madrid tayo, etc. Marami tayong diskusyon with our good friends there in Madrid. But, I mean, come on. It's something else to see it, his own favorite, to see it here in the Philippines. So, to be honest, there was a moment na medyo confusing feeling natin. I mean, I don't know if I'm overwhelmed, I'm touched, I'm being critical, wag kang senti, relax ka lang dyan, or intimidated. Hindi naman. Actually, I was always inspired. I was never intimidated by Ilustrados. I was always inspired. Every time I read something from Rizal, see something from Luna, read something about the military genius of General Luna, etc. Again, these were not perfect people, especially the Luna brothers. Alam natin yan. But, I mean, come on. They show what the Filipinos are capable of. Forget about world class. We're talking about world champion level, right? And we're talking about arts, sciences. We're talking about Olympics of arts, exposition in Paris, right? Not only in Madrid, So wow. I mean, if were Rizal to be alive today, I mean, with that quality of work, he would have won the Nobel Prize in Literature, most likely. I think he's a very top contender for that. Except Nobel Prize in Literature is not awarded posthumously. I think if we read Rizal 50 years later, just the quality of literature that he provided would have put him in a good place to get the Nobel Prize in Literature. So, to be honest, a part of you gets moved and you say you want to continue, this legacy in whichever way you can, while considering, acknowledging now, we're just humble folks, trying to make the most out of it. So, but yun nga, the Luna, the Ilustrado heritage just pushes you to find the greatness of the Filipino spirit within yourself, no matter who you are. Sino ba naman tayo, di ba? But yun nga iba eh. There were serious people. You know what I'm saying? Serious people. Meaning they were willing to go all the way to challenge colonial oppression, to give up their life in the case of Rizal. And my God, I mean, the breadth of the work, I mean, the attention to details, all the sketches, all the preparatory work, not to mention all of the imaginative canvas, no? Doing before, it was splashed onto the actual canvas. I mean, wow. Just the power, the spirit, I mean, it's just overwhelming, mga yun ang Pinoy pride. Yun ang Pinoy pride. I mean, I don't know about the others, quote-unquote, Pinoy pride stuff. It's I'm not sure about, but this one, my friend, this one, mga kameta, that's Pinoy pride. I mean, you see just the majesty of Juan Luna's paintings. and you know the emotions behind that. You know the the ocean of feelings that gave rise to those kinds of brilliant magisterial work. I mean, like, because you know the history. You know the history. Now, if you look at the painting, yung Hymen, etc., if you check it out, the painting talks is kind of harkens back to a kind of a Greco-Roman festival, and it's a Roman context and era. But the Roman civilization was about integration, cosmopolitan integration. It was about anyone having a good chance of becoming a Roman citizen, enjoying the full rights if you were to fulfill certain heroic journey. Gladiators had their own way, other slaves had their own way. Some Greeks went their own way through scholarship and excellence, and advising the Caesar types. I mean, that clearly had a resonance in his own life. Coming from a colonized world in the Philippines, and then making it big, next level. Like, for instance, I didn't know that the reason why Spolarium was not there dun sa Paris competition, where the Hyman painting won the third prize, was because the Spanish did not allow it. No, so who knows? He could have won the top prize. The other reason why he was put in the non-competition category is because he was considered as a master. So if you're a master, maestro, you're not supposed to be in the competition category. That's for mortals. He was in the masters category. I I got to know about that masters category when I was reading about Pablo Picasso, and when Pablo Picasso's work were exhibited in Paris. His painting was put in a category that parang I realized kanina, it's the same category where Juan Luna's painting was put in. So, yun yung level niya. So in the same way na Pablo Picasso was considered among the best of Europe in the middle of the 20th century, if not earlier. No, actually earlier. In that sense, in the late 19th century, right, towards the dawn of the 20th century, Juan Luna was there. So like, mga kameta, next level yan. Olympics gold medal level yan. I mean, you could even argue that what he achieved is harder than Olympics gold medal. You can get multiple gold medals in Olympics in some cases. We saw athletes who got multiple gold medals in one Olympics. See Phelps, for instance. But this guy, like, there are very few, especially from the colonized world, from Asia. From Southeast Asia, probably was the only one who made it that far in his era in the late 19th century. Not only in Spain, which probably had a semi-soft spot for the Philippines, but in Paris, in France. I mean, next level. Next level. Kahit nag-shave tayo kanina, medyo yung beard natin lumalabas. Like, wow. Next level, mga. Like, respect. Respect. Serious people. Serious people. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Lestrado class reminds me of the Russian intelligentsia. You know, from Dostoevsky, Turgenev, all the way to Tolstoy onwards. Like, these really people, brilliant people are willing to go all the way. Like, di ba? Ganon yung feels mo pag nakita mo yung mga works nila. I saw the Cleopatra one in Prado Museo in Madrid. But this one is like, wow, next. And wow, kudos to the Ayala Museum for really putting up some brilliant, beautiful it's kasi it's curating it. It's one thing to have gorgeous magisterial work. It's another thing how you curate it, the whole environment, the feels it gives is like wow. So like for a not split second but a split hour, if I could put it that way, you could imagine yourself in not maybe Juan Luna's mind, that imaginative volcano. No, but you could imagine yourself in Juan Luna's studio. Right? Like, wow talaga. Wow talaga. So, kudos mga kameta sa Ayala Museum for giving us a glimpse of the genius of the Ilustrado class. But not only the genius of the Ilustrado class, but the audacity. The audacity to not be world class only, to be the best in the world. I mean, in the world. Like, to be in the masters category in Paris at the end of the 19th century, the fin de siècle years. I mean, that's like next level, Mahameta. That's like winning multiple Oscars today. So, wow. As in, wow talaga. For a moment, Mahameta, put aside all the stories you know about the crazy side of his personal life. Alright? Okay, I mean, we're not blind to that. Okay? I'm just saying. Pinoy pride, boom. So, why is this relevant to our discussion today? Now, I understand there are a lot of people that are saying, oh, ito si Darian, masyadong demanding, ito si Darian, ito si Darian, nakikiuso, epal, irrelevant, mga parelevant, mga ganun. Those people should just shut their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know what they're talking about. Come back to me when you got a glimpse of greatness. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about my privilege of having been able to read from directly and read about the greatness of the masters in the late 19th century. We can talk about Tolstoy. We can talk about Rizal, right? How many of these charlatans really read the latest translations of Rizal's work to see what a genius work it is, right? Really bother to understand some of the key essays of Rizal, right? Now, I'm not expert like Ambeth Ocampo level or good friend level, but I mean, I'm just an ordinary scholar. I mean, I paid attention, like, wow, this is next level, right? How many of these charlatans bother to go to the best museums in the world and see the genius of Luna works? Or bother to understand the genius of the military strategy of General Luna, right? How many of the charlatans bother to read about the story of people like Navalny, for instance? Watch a documentary of Navalny. You can find it on HBO. 150 pesos lang yata yung HBO go dito sa Globe, right? So, I know that we had greatness. I know there are greatness around the world. We always do comparative analysis. We always look at how their leaders in countries as difficult as Thailand, people my age becoming president in Chile, Boris, a former activist, people a few years older than me like Pita, almost becoming the prime minister in Thailand, although he has to go against the military and the monarchy, very difficult conditions, but in fairness to what Pita achieved, like wow. In fairness to Kilic Daroglu and the Turkish opposition, for all their failures, they came almost 50-50 versus Erdogan, who was like one of the most one of the most astute politicians of our era, right? So I make demands, quote unquote demands, which is actually not demands, it's etc., of some opposition leaders or opposition in the Philippines. I hope these people understand. I have no illusions, but I hope these people bother to understand where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place whereby this Richard Darn read all of these books. I mean, I just have multiple sections, just Russian novels, right? And then there's Rizal works. Like, I had the privilege of understanding the frontiers of human audacity and the greatness that the human spirit can achieve in our century, in a century or two before, right? In different countries, under different circumstances, far more difficult circumstances. How many of the charlatans who criticize have bothered to go to places I've been to? Right? Forget about China. I've been in North Korea. All right? I was in North Korea 4 or 5 days. Right? I've been to many corners of the world. Right? I'm not saying it because I'm great. I'm just saying some people like me had the privilege of really going on the ground, talking to the people on this, or at least talking to officials or people from different parts of the world, and understanding the greatness and the courage of some people under the horribly difficult circumstances. Horribly difficult circumstances. Right? So, ewan ko sa mga charlatans na sabi nagpapa-relevant. Like, get out of here, right? What relevant? We don't need relevance. We have millions of engagement. Twitter pa lang, we get millions of engagement, right? We have tweets that are single tweets, multiple million engagements. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. So, this is my argument, mga kameta. We can do better than mediocrity. We can absolutely do beyond mediocrity and just fulfilling the basics, right? We can absolutely do better than performative progressiveness, of sloganeering, of, you know what I'm saying, right? Front page magazine, this and that, whatever. We can do way better than that because we have achieved that in the past. We have achieved that in the past. So that's where I'm coming from, Kameta. When I talk about what the opposition should do, where the opposition should go, what are the things that they have to do, like, of course, sasabihin ng mga charlatans yan, alam niya, Darian, blah, blah, blah. My friends, there's a reason why I was able to predict exactly where Marcos Jr.'s foreign policy would go more than a year ago. There's a reason why we more or less predicted where Duterte's administration will end. Right? Not because I was from Davao, not because I'm living in Ilocos Norte or I went together with him to attend at Oxford, no. But because we know what to read. We know what are the trend lines to look at. No, I'm not perfect. There's certain things we get right, certain things we get wrong, but let's be honest. Look at the thousands of articles we have written, especially on foreign policy issues, like more or less exactly things that we said would happen, right? So I'm sorry, I don't need to work in someone's campaign in 1992 or 2016, whatever, to understand what our country needs in terms of having a real opposition, in terms of having a real grassroots movement towards reform, in terms of having real effective great leadership and governance. Right? I had the, you know, I had the privilege of talking to great leaders, controversial but great leaders. I had an hour-long interview with Mahathir, Prime Minister Mahathir. I had conversations with, we had exchanges. I can go on and on, but this is not about how great I am or how great. What I'm saying is how I wish people understand that the passion you see in me, that the spirit of pushing the boundaries you see in me, it comes from the recognition that we owe something to the Ilustrada generation. That we owe it to them. We have to honor their legacy to us. This is the minimal homage we can pay to them. Minimal homage. To try to be better than mediocre. That is the point I always make. That is the point I always make. So, for me, in my own humble ways, the reason why I constantly push myself, right? So in my 20s, I already wrote op-eds for New York Times. I was among practically first Filipino since Nino Aquino who wrote for Foreign Affairs magazine, right? Which is like Vima. But that's not the point. My point is that I constantly push myself. I said that's not enough. So I entered blogging, right? I entered all of these things. I mean, sometimes I look like a fool. Fine, it's fine. But I'm pushing myself constantly. So I'm not just demanding out of people. I am pushing myself, demanding for myself. Because this is the least we owe to Juan Luna, to Luna Brothers, to Rizal, to Ilustrados, to our founding fathers, founding mothers, all of those heroes that we had in the past. Yun yung sinasabi natin, mga kameta. And as far as our own era is concerned, great leaders in our own era concerned, Jesse Robredo, 100%, 100% Jesse Robredo. Jesse Robredo was the best, was among the best at least, if not the best. I mean, how do I know that? Because as an academic, I have come across journal articles or studies and research about the Naga model and how amazing Jesse Robredo was. He was not just a dragon slayer, but Jesse Robredo pushed the boundaries of good governance and grassroots driven governance. Right? I mean, let me just show some of this. Sorry, like there's just something when you see the greatness of Filipino, right? The greatness we can bring to human civilization. Forget about Philippines or Asia. It's just human civilization, the contributions we have made. So you go. I mean, you see these papers. This is you can find these papers about Jesse Robredo, the Naga model, dun sa Princeton University website. No, you can find it. There are research papers I've seen from Southeast Asia, from Philippines, among others, about the Naga model of governance. By, for, a government of, by, and for the people. No, I mean, like, transformative governance, every sense of the word. Every sense of the word. No? And yung mga naka-sneak peek dun sa discussion namin with Ronald Llamas, for instance, the other day, may have heard about our discussion about how Jesse Robredo was really a transformative leader, right? So, when we make comments about what the opposition can do or should do, today, in the face of the Marcos, Duterte, all of these kinds of forces, I hope people understand it's also an homage to and recognition of the greatness that people like Jesse Robredo brought to the Philippine political landscape. I mean, who knows? I mean, had Jesse Robredo had the chance to become our president, I mean, who knows what would have happened? I don't think like anything in the Philippines will be solved overnight, but I think a lot of shenanigans could have been solved, right? And we know very well that Vice President LENI Robredo's own political journey is a way of paying homage, right? Of recognizing, of honoring the great legacy of Jesse Robredo. Of Jesse Robredo. No. You don't believe me? Go and ask Vico Soto. I mean, how great Jesse Robredo was, because Vico Soto has been an inspiration for him, right? So this is the context, mga kameta, where I'm coming from. So for clowns and charlatans out there who have zero idea about where people like me are coming from, like, get out of here. All right? Just sip it. Just sip it. Because you're not serious people. You're not. You're not serious. You don't belong to the conversation. No one will take you seriously outside this. Outside your echo chambers. All right? You can say whatever you want to say about me. We talk to everyone that matters in one way or another because they know deep inside we're serious people and we want the best for our country. Right? And we're not judgmental to say, oh, you voted for this, forget about it. Oh, ako, I'm smarter. Like, forget about it. Right? Forget about it. Now, there's this announcement by LENI na hindi naman ako mawawala sa public service, pero yung elected position, malaking question mark. Now, my sense is LENI running for the vice president in 2016 was the homage. And running 2022 was a kind of a personal sacrifice, and kudos to her. Now, again, to be clear, I said we should have done X, Y, and Z. If you're Team A, we should have done X, Y, and Z. If you're Team B, yes, I've said what I've said. It's on my analysis of the lay of the land. But she paid her homage in 2016. She won against Marcos, whatever I don't want to say. She made a kind of a sacrifice in 2022, subjecting herself to second very grueling round of elections. So now, if Lena Robredo is saying that she might need respite or she might need to reconsider things, I think she has earned that. I think she has earned that. For me, provided that there is enough support by her supporters for alternative leaders, and that's why I always talk about Riza Hontiveros, for instance, right? Now, it's good that Lenny also mentioned the fact that she's gonna remain a public servant and that she's public service forever, right? Uh, Public service, sana all, di ba? But as I said, all due respect, she earned it. She paid already her homage. She fought very hard, and I think everyone else has to step up. And I'm glad that there are people like Lenny who have the humility and the goodwill to also recognize their limitations or their need for respite and recovery and rejuvenation. So respect. Um, and she's right. Public service is not just about elected office. Having said that, and this is where I want to end our conversation, mga kamay medyo gabi na, I think it's almost a sure shot if she runs for congresswoman or mayor in her immediate constituency. I'm not very sure if she runs for governor. I think that would be quite a different task. Now, if she runs LGU level, that gives her certain advantages because it allows her to build on that Naga model 2.0 century. And let's see what the next generation of Robredos is going to do because they're extremely, extremely accomplished people, right? Her daughters are extremely accomplished people, and all kudos and respect to them. And they're good people. They have a good heart. Clean governance, effective governance, something that they could fight for. So LG is one option, but my sense is maybe the Senate is worth fighting for because the situation of only Riza as being the only opposition leader, it's very hard. Uh, I think it's kind of difficult to push for really progressive reform if you have a situation like that. Now, the semi good news is that even based on some of the surveys, Lenny is within striking distance of Magic 12, and I think if she really throws her lot in, I think she could be in a good position to win. I mean, like for instance, some of the preliminary put her vote at 7 million. She won more than 15 million votes, right, as a president. So the idea of her winning half of that as a senator is like, very questionable yun. I think she can push it easily to within striking distance to top. And especially because marami dito sa nagta-top 12, kutob ko, dalawa tatlo dyan, hindi naman tatakbo eh. Right? So there's still a lot of room that pushes up Lenny immediately. So I think she's very much within the top 12. And despite everything that has happened, Lenny is still considered as one of the top 3 candidates for the presidency, even based on some of the surveys that folks in the opposition would say bias and leading, whatever. Like, sige, granted all of that, she's still within the top 3 consideration. But then again, it's Lenny's call. If she doesn't want to run for office anymore, it's her call. And she wants to be a public servant, a grassroots leader, that's her call. Maybe it's the next generation of rebellions who can step in. All respect. I hope whatever her decision is, she'll also support the other elected opposition leaders that are out there 100% if she really decides not to go elected office. But my sense, if she runs for elected office, wins the Senate, etc., she can be even more helpful to Riza, at least in certain direct political way. But I also see where the former vice president is coming from, because in many ways, the fight for the soul of Philippine democracy, it's a grassroots fight fundamentally. Because even if you put the best leaders up there in Malacanang, right, kung hindi maayos dun sa fundamentals, hindi masusustain yung good governance. And nakita natin yung sa panahon ni Pinoy, no? Hindi siya nasusustain kasi purong trapo na yun nandun sa Kongreso, right? And so on and so forth, right? So on that note, thank you very much mga kameta. Salamat. I hope hindi kayo na sa ating mga alam niyo na, fuego, diba? Fuego with principles, mga ganun. So on that note, thank you very much mga kameta. Maraming salamat. Kanina pala may mga nakita tayong mga kameta rin pala nung bumibili tayo ng natin, para sa furniture natin. Kasto yung discount na. Excellent. Thank you very much, ma'am. It was a pleasure meeting you. Next time, indoors na lang namin, ha? Para sa just kidding. Nagpapa-feeling vlogger, But again, that's what I'm saying. We're serious people. When we make comments and all, they might seem facetious, they might seem irrelevant, epal, say whatever you want to say. But we're serious people. And serious people know who are serious people. The few serious people in this country know we are serious people. Alright? And that's what all matters. For the charlatans and clowns, sorry na lang, hangin dyan na lang kayo. But anyway, it's not about them. This is about continuing what the Ilustrado class started. This is about honoring the greatness they brought into existence. This is about having our own Ilustrado 2.0 for the 21st century, for a democratic, independent Philippines, for true independence. On that note, maraming salamat mga kameta. God bless the Philippines, and God willing, we'll continue this fight for the better Philippines. Maraming salamat.